with him. He did not need it, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him just right here in these ayat that سَنُقْرِئُكَ فَلَا تَنْسَ. He will never forget it. He gets his knowledge directly from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِنِّي أَنَامُ وَيُطْعِمُنِي رَبِّي وَيَسْقِينِ. Even while the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is asleep, his sleep is different from ours. He is in direct connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala feeds him physically and psychologically and spiritually. Yet, just to be a teacher for us, Jibreel has to come to the Prophet ﷺ, and they should study Quran together. And in the last year of his life, ﷺ, Jibreel will study Quran with the Prophet ﷺ twice. They will together go over Quran twice. So we have to follow our Prophet ﷺ, study Quran, especially in the month of Ramadan. This was not only the practice of the Prophet ﷺ, all the companions, all our ulama, Imam Malik, and he is Imam al-Dunya, the Imam of the entire Dunya. Muhaddith Kabir, wa Faqih Kabir, and everything, big jurist, big Muhaddith. Yet in the month of Ramadan, he would leave all the halaqat and all of his classes and all of the other books and hadith, and he would just direct his intention to Quran, focus only on the Quran. And we know that how rewardable is Quran, especially in the month of Ramadan. We know from the hadith of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam that reciting one letter, when you recite one letter from the Quran, you will be credited for what? For one good deed. And the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that وَالْحَسَنَةُ بِعَشْرِ أَمْثَالِهَا, and you will get, for each good deed, you will get 10 folds, 10 times multiplied. And in the month of Ramadan, we know that all actions by default, they are multiplied. So when you recite Quran in the month of Ramadan, you are having the best investment ever towards Jannah. You are collecting and crediting yourself a lot of hasanat, a lot of good deeds that everybody needs. Quran, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed it, He challenged the masters of Arabic language, the master of literature, the masters of shi'r and poet at this time, poetry. He challenged them to bring even a single surah, a single chapter like it. The smallest chapter, which is like a line or a line and a half. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala challenged the entire humanity, not only humanity. قُلْ لَا يَجْتَمَعَتِ الْإِنسُ وَالْجِنِّ. Humans and jinn together combined to bring one single chapter, they will never be able. And challenge is still standing up today. Every nation and every individual, they all failed to produce even a single ayah, a single surah like it. And I receive a lot of emails about, these soldiers in Guantanamo, how they degrade Quran, how they do really bad stuff about it. Al-Furqan, like some institutions, or they try to invent another Quran, or even some mistakes in some of the prints of the Quran or so, publications. But I'm not worried at all. I, as a Muslim, not worried at all. Let the entire humanity do whatever they want, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا الذِّكْرَ وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ. We have revealed, verily we have revealed this dhikr, remembrance, Quran, and we will take care of preserving it. So Allah is taking care of preserving it. It is entire humanity, all the creation are challenged by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to alter it, to change it, to even provide something like it, and they would all fail. Quraysh would send one day an envoy to talk to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he would talk for a long time. And the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would ask him, "Are you done?" Then he said yes. And the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would recite to him few verses from Surah Fussilat, until he reached the ayah, فَإِنْ أَعْرَضُوا فَقُلْ أَنذَرْتُكُمْ صَاعِقَةً مِثْلَ صَاعِقَةِ عَادٍ وَثَمُودٍ. And if they turn away, Quraysh, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if they turn away from your message, from your book, from your Quran, from our guidance, فَقُلْ أَنذَرْتُكُمْ صَاعِقَةً. Say, I warn you against a sa'iqah, a cry. Cry not like human cry, it's like an angelic cry, like Jibreel when he cried for the previous people, مثل صاعقة عاد وثمود, that inflicted and seized Ad, the people of Ad and Thamud, and it was enough to destroy all of them. Hearing this man, very eloquent, he would say, وَنَشَدَهُ بِالرَّحِمِ قال, I ask you by the relation between us, the blood relation, we are relatives, we are cousins, please stop, please do not continue. That's enough. خلاص. And he would go and disappear. This man will disappear. He will never get back to Quraysh, to his people again, to tell them what happened. The challenge is still standing. The Quran is Kitabullah al-Majid, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called it, the noble book of Allah. Kitabullah tanzilu min hakimin hamid. So the challenge is still there, but we need to start this relation with our Quran and understand how great it is, how uncomparable it is, Quran. كما قال ولله در من قال أتى بكتاب أعجز الخلق نطقه فكل بليغ عنده صار أبكما تحدى به أهل البلاغة كلهم فلم يفتحوا فيما يعارضه فما. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has brought this book from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and its wording, its speech, every eloquent person, in comparison to it, he becomes mute. They zip their mouth. They will never be able to talk, to have a counter argument to the argument of the Quran. تحدى به أهل البلاغة كلهم فلم يفتحوا فيما يعارضه فما. ولله در القائل أيضا الله أكبر إن نور محمد أقوى وأقوى مقيلا لا تذكروا الكتب السوالف عنده طلع الصباح فأطفئوا القنديل. Allahu Akbar. The light that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam brought to us, the Quran, is the greatest. Do not mention the previous books in its presence, because the daylight has come, so you have to turn off all the lights. All the previous books, they are like these lights. They might work at night, but when the daylight comes, that's it. Quran is the daylight for our lives. We have to take it and we have to deal with it from this perspective. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala named the Quran Ruhan, a spirit that came to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. وَكَذَلِكَ أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْكَ رُوحًا مِّنْ أَمْرِنَا. And so we have sent to you, revealed to you, a spirit of our command. Quran itself is a spirit, because life without Quran is a body without a spirit. So it is a spirit for our lives. All of us need Quran, whether we think it works like this or not, whether we believe in it or not. All of us need the Quran and the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran. And listen to the hadith of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam will give us the example of the person who recites Quran, and every person who recites Quran, he will get something out of it. He said in the hadith, let me go to the English version, the believer who recites the Quran is like citron, whose fragrance is sweet and whose taste is delicious. الذي يقرأ القرآن كالأترجة ريحها طيب وطعمها طيب. He smells good and it tastes good. The believer, the true believer, recites the Quran internally and externally. He is excellent. He is the best. A believer who does not recite Quran is like a date fruit, which has no fragrance but has sweet taste. Believer, but not reciting the Quran, yes, he has the faith in his heart, this is good, but he will never, it's like a date, the tamra or something, which has no fragrance. It doesn't smell, no, it's neutral, but has sweet taste. It tastes sweet. The hypocrites who recite the Quran is like a colocynth, whose fragrance is so sweet, but its taste is bitter. Its taste is bitter. Hypocrites, it is, he sounds good by reciting the Quran. He sounds like a believer, but internally he is bitter, soury. He is not good. The hypocrites who does not recite the Quran is like basil, which has no fragrance and its taste is bitter. Hypocrite, not reciting the Quran internally and externally, he is nothing. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam also told us in the hadith, the believer who, or he told us in the other hadith that verily Allah elevates some people with this Quran and abases others. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by reciting this, by some people reciting this Quran, they go up in grades in Jannah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raises them up. That's why يقال لصاحب القرآن اقرأ وارق ورتل كما كنت ترتل في الدنيا فإن منزلتك عند آخر آية تقرأها. And the day of judgment, the people who used to recite Quran and apply it into their lives, the huffaz of the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or somebody will call them by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by the order of Allah, recite and rise up, elevate, go up in grades as you used to recite in life. Because your grade, your level will be at the last ayah you would recite. So you can define and choose for yourself